Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Jordan Oberg Show. I'm your host, Jordan Oberg, and we're back on Wednesday night. Here we are. We're talking about some really important things this evening. The main thing is what's going on in Nigeria with the persecution of Christians. However, let's just take a minute really quick and pause, and let's recognize that we finally have snowfall. It's absolutely terrible. I wish I lived in Arizona. That would be amazing. I went to Arizona, like I said, like last episode for the Charlie Kirk Memorial. And that state was so cool. Literally would walk down the side of the road, like on a sidewalk. And where I'm from, you see grass. In Arizona, you see rock and cactuses. And it was cool. Or cacti, whatever. I don't really know what the right word is there. We'll just say cacti. But it was pretty cool. Pretty cool experience. A lot of mountains, a lot of rock, a lot of cacti. It was pretty cool. Way cooler than where I'm from. I also hate snow. I hate the cold. I hate the winter. But it's a part of life, so you kind of have to deal with it. But yeah, we're getting into some very important world events. The persecution of Christians is happening. Very, very big. Obviously, it's always happened for quite some time, but I feel like it only increases and kind of grows. Right now it's happening the most. So the statistic that I saw, 72,000 Christians have been killed January 1st to date till now in Nigeria. There's been more persecution, or specifically killings of Christians in Nigeria alone this entire year than combined in the world, which is crazy. That's a lot. If you don't know the kind of background or like the layout of Nigeria, the north side of Nigeria it's split into half, right? So it's 50% Islam in the northern part of the country, and then the other side, the south, is full of Christians. Boko Haram and the Islamic State of West Africa province are carrying out these killings of Christians in Nigeria. Like I said, it's 50% Christian, 50% Islam, right? So the northern half of Nigeria is mainly Islam, and then the south side, the southern half of the southern half of Nigeria is Islam. I can't speak to save my life. The northern half of Nigeria is Islam. The southern half are Christians. That's the way I perceived it online when I was looking this up. But yeah, north is Islam, south is Christian. They've declared Islamist ideologies. They oppose Western education. They've targeted civilian populations, including Christian churches and communities. There's videos all sorts online. There are so many videos of this online. I'm not going to play any for you specifically. You can look that up if you'd like to. There's censored videos, there's non-censored videos. There's a lot of it going on. I'm not personally going to put a video up, but if you want to look it up, you absolutely can. There's a lot of them out there. But, I mean, there are bandit groups. They're implicated in deadly raids, especially in the central, Middle Belt region of Nigeria, where many Christian farming communities exist. The government is part to blame here with the Nigerian government. It seems like the government has they've made security operations against this Boko Haram and the Islamic State West Africa province. That's a huge, really long name. The government has made security operations against these extremist groups as a stated priority. However, the Nigerian government did publicly say that they don't really believe that there is this genocide of Christians in their country. I don't really know how to feel about that. I definitely think that there's a problem as far as killing Christians in Nigeria. But at the same time, I do give them some, I don't know. They're kind of like on that 50-50 margin, right? Like, they're not saying that there's necessarily a problem, but they are doing something about it at the same time. Whatever that means. But on November 1st, Trump did say that he directed the Department of War to begin preparing for possible action in Nigeria, citing what he described as the Nigerian government failure to stop the mass killings of Christians by Islamist extremists, which, I'm all for that. He warned that if the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, that the U.S. would immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria, which is exactly what needs to happen, right? If the Nigerian government does not take care of this, America needs to do something about it. I'm in full support of that. If you guys are not familiar with what a PMC is, a PMC stands for a private military company. Blackwater is like, I believe, like the biggest PMC, the most famous or notorious PMC to ever exist. They're all federal law enforcement or prior military background. These guys are like really cool people. But yeah, if you don't know what a PMC is, it stands for Private Military Company. They're contracted by the U.S. government and other government allies of the U.S. for a lot of different sorts of operations. But Blackwater PMC founder Eric Prince, he was urging Pope Leo to fund the PMC Blackwater to send aid to Nigeria for Christians, which I'm also totally for. If the Nigerian government doesn't do anything about this, then the one thing that we do need to do is go into Nigeria guns a-blazing, just like Trump said on his Truth Social tweet or post. He said that word for word, that we're going to go in there guns a-blazing, and that's exactly what we need to do. I'm not okay with Christians being persecuted, and if you're a Christian too, you probably would agree with me here. So that is something that I'm totally in support of. But yeah, I mean, PMCs, they're just a bunch of military and federal law enforcement. They all hold top secret clearances, right? Like these guys are not just like your random civilians, walking down, the street of Florida or West Virginia. Like they're not just random people. These guys they're pretty legit. They have experience in this field, whether it's the military, federal law enforcement. And like I said, they hold a secret clearance, so they're more than your average person. But I wanted to go over a specific verse in Matthew. Goodness, I'm shaking up my desk here. But there's a specific verse in Matthew that I wanted to go over. I'm going to have to pull it up here if you give me a second. But it talks about, right, the persecution of Christians that are going on right now. But we are on Matthew chapter 5. It starts at verse 10. This is on the Sermon of the Mount, actually. Like I said, this is Matthew chapter 5, verse 10. And he goes on to say, "Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs." Goes on to verse 11. "You are blessed when they insult you and persecute you and falsely say every kind of evil against you because of me. Be glad and rejoice, because your reward is great in heaven, for that is how they persecuted the prophets who were before you." And that is 100% true. It's scary reading this out, and there's another one that I want to get to. But it's scary reading these out and then looking around us in the real world, knowing that this is real, that this is happening, and the worst of all is that you see it all over social media. Like I said, I don't want to play the video, but there's a video I saw just before starting this, and it was a pastor in Nigeria standing in a pit of dead bodies of those who were killed for believing in Christ, and he said, all around the world, in short, this is what the pastor was saying, that they're saying that there are no massacres of Christians in Nigeria, as he's standing in a pit of people who were persecuted for their faith. And the reality is that the media is not going to cover this. The public media is not going to cover this. So if you expect to see this on CNN, NBC, whatever you want, literally any news media, you're not going to see it. And if you do, it's probably not going to be pushed out that far. This is not something that's publicly being told to everyone by the media, so don't expect to see it on your media. You can look it up for yourself, and you can definitely see it, though. But yeah, I mean, this is happening in Nigeria, and it's not big at all. I don't know how many of you actually know that this is even going on before, watching this. But in Matthew chapter 24, it does go on to predict the future persecutions that are happening in today's world as well. But honestly, any sort of persecution, this is kind of a prophecy of, but it's Matthew 24, verses 9. These are the persecutions that were predicted. It says, "Then they will hand you over to be persecuted, and they will kill you. You will be hated by all nations because of my name. Then many will fall away, betray one another, and hate one another. Many false prophets will rise up and deceive many, because lawlessness will multiply. The love of many will grow cold. but the one who endures to the end will be saved. This good news of kingdom will be proclaimed in all of the world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. The truth is if you are a Christian in 2025, now going into 2026, you should expect to be persecuted. And just like Charlie Kirk said, if you are not getting persecuted, if you are not receiving death threats, if you are not being hated for your faith, you're probably not trying hard enough. You're probably not trying hard enough. All right. As a Christian, we already know what's going to happen to us, right? We know we're going to get persecuted, right? We know that there are going to be people who want to see us dead, right? I mean, if you look around the world, they're killing people in Nigeria because they believe in God. If you travel outside of the United States and you live in the U.S., just know that people want to kill you because you don't believe like they do. That's pretty much what's going on. I mean, it's crazy. People in America are even doing it. I mean, they killed Charlie Kirk, right? I mean, they killed him. And seeing how many people like him dead, that should be an eye-opener, because that to me shows how many people would love to see me dead. You know? That's the same thing. The exact same thing. But as Christians, we accept this, as we will be persecuted. We know that. But our reward is not down here in heaven. Down here on earth. It's in heaven. Our reward is not down here. It's in heaven, right? And we have to understand that. We have to understand that. And again, that's, as Christians, what we believe. But before we end, I really just want to get into this. I want to reread part of this verse that I read out to you. This is back in chapter 24, verses 9 all the way to 14, but I really want to focus on 9. They will hand you over to be persecuted. They will hand you over to be persecuted. They will kill you. You will be hated by all nations because of my name. Right? They will hand you over to be persecuted. They will kill you, and you will be hated by every single nation because of Jesus Christ. That is what we accept as Christians, right? If you are saying that you are a Christian, you agree to this. You will be persecuted. You will be hated. But remember, your reward is not down here, and it is in heaven. So do not let that fear you, okay? It is literally telling you word for word that you will be hated, you will be killed, etc., etc., etc. This is all public, right? This is all public. This isn't hidden. This is right in front of our faces, and this is exactly what's happening around the world. Now, be grateful that you live in the United States of America, where we have the freedom of religion, that we have the freedom to go to church on Sundays. And I also want to mention this, how bad do you want it, right? In Nigeria, there was a video of radical Islamist extremists blowing up a church a Christian church in Nigeria. The next morning, the attendees of that Christian church in Nigeria showed up the next morning singing hymns and giving their praise to God once again that following morning. Yet some of us don't even want to go to church because we're too tired the next morning, or because you stayed up too late the night before, or because it's snowing out. How bad do you want it? What happens if your church was blown up the next day? What would you do, right? These are real questions that we have to ask ourselves. But once again, this is the modern age of Christianity, and this is what's going to happen to us, and we have to learn to accept it, and that our reward, once again, is not down here, but it's in heaven, right? We live down here for Jesus Christ. We spread his word. We try and get as many Christians as we can, but we don't go around killing people, obviously. Some religions believe that's a great idea. We don't, thankfully. But yeah, we are the ones being killed all around the world, but specifically in Nigeria. I just wanted to bring that up as a big talking point today. I think it's really important. Light needs to be shed on that topic. It needs to be known. And I'm fully in support of President Trump if he wants to send our military over there, if the Nigerian government doesn't do anything about it. But until then, how bad do you really want it? How bad do you really want it? This isn't a game, so don't think it's a game. But yeah, this is very important. This is very serious. And don't expect the Christian life to be easy. It's not easy. So if you think that you, like I think I talked about this last time, but if you think that you're just going to pray a prayer once or twice and expect everything to happen or everything to be given to you, you're heavenly, or you're heavenly. you're very much mistaken. That's not how Christianity works. It's all about having a relationship with God. So don't think it'll just be given to you because you say a prayer. But not to get off topic, this is the reality of Christianity right now in November of 2025. But we need to pray for peace. We need to pray for a change. But we also need to be grateful for where we live here in America, that we are able to go to church freely on Sunday, every Sunday morning, without having to worry about getting blown up or these crazy videos that you see online. Very grateful that none of that happens to us as we're on our way to church or anything like that. But continue to pray for those in Nigeria, and if they don't stop, well, we pray to God that these people are destroyed, because that's exactly what needs to happen. I'm Jordan Oberg, the host of The Jordan Oberg Show. Thank you guys for tuning in on your Wednesday night. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and pray that the snow stops here. It sucks, and I hate it. God bless you guys.